Evening, everyone. Welcome to the weekly armchair kickoff. We've been newly branded this week by the orders of Keen Franny, so it's the first time the show is out this week under the weekly armchair kickoff. It's Wednesday night. It's Talk of the League, and I've missed the last few weeks, so it's actually good to be back with the boys here now tonight, having a bit of a chat with the Premier League. I'm back with my two usual apprentices, Evan Fahy and Julio. Lads, how have you been? You're on mute. Both are on mute.
Yeah, I know. I was just waiting for Evan to go first, but I don't think he's currently with us.
Sorry, I couldn't find the button. What's the story, lads? What's the crack?
All right, yeah, good to be back. That's good to be back, and of course we're joined by special guests like Adam for Forever United. Adam, how are you getting on, my friend?
Yeah, good fellas. Hope we're all well.
Yeah,
happy days.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep them well. We're getting to the business end of the Premier League now, and I suppose there's no better place to start tonight's show than that big title challenging match on Sunday afternoon. Ended in controversial circumstances with that penalty decision that was made at the end. It was a sort of penalty decision that we have seen given since VAR came in a couple of years ago. Evan, what was your thought on that on Sunday? Pen, no pen? How significant is that going to prove come the end of the season?
It's a no fucking pen. Ball there all day, no fucking pen. I don't care who comes to me in this chat. Come to me, I don't care. No pen. I'm calling it now. And it is, you can base it off of, I just fucking hate Liverpool. I hate Liverpool with passion. I don't mind saying, I just hate fucking Liverpool. And all their fucking scouse heads on them. Just hate them. So fuck it, no pen. I don't care. Call me biased all you want. Maybe it is biased, but no, but being honest, right? The ball is there. Ball is there. Simple as. Ball is fucking there. You can fucking scream and shout all you want. Oh, studs, whatever. Fuck off. Ball is there. It wasn't intentional. Like, no man.
You're supposed to be the neutral one on this show. We're all United fans. You're supposed to be the neutral Chelsea fan on this show.
No, fuck Liverpool. Fuck them. I hate them. No, like, the ball is there. No one's intentionally going in with studs, like. I don't care. Fuck them. Can't be arsed.
Julio. What did you think, man? Did you think penalty? Like, should Doku have let the ball bounce? I think that was the thing I took out of it all. What was he doing actually letting the ball bounce in the 18-yard box? I think that's just the cardinal sin. I know he's not a defender, not a centre back, doesn't have that defensive instinct, but letting the ball bounce in the 18-yard box, surely you're asking for trouble.
Yeah, 100%. I think he just, I'm convinced he just watched too many like Kung Fu Panda movies over the weekend or something, because that was a very high kick. I mean, when I saw it in real time, I thought, nah, it's nothing. I think a lot of people are in a similar position where once they saw the replays, they thought, oh, actually, I was a little bit surprised to see it not given, because I thought Liverpool might have had a claim there, but I just think that whether you're a defender or not, it's a very rabbit in the headlights moment. Where you're always asking for trouble if you're sticking your leg that high, and also you're not really going to get much clearance on the ball if your leg is that high. I understand, obviously, the thought process probably just get rid of it if the ball's dropping, but I don't know. I just think it was very silly of him, and I think Doku might have got away with one there. I'm glad, obviously, both teams didn't win. I wanted both teams to lose, obviously, but that can't happen. So both of them getting a draw is probably good enough for me, realistically.
I have a bit of conspiracy theory, right? And it's only after coming to realization there now, right? Do you think that Liverpool didn't get the decision because there was so much hype around Klopp's fairy tale ending last season, and the Premier League just had to die it out, so everyone kind of jumps off the theory that the Premier League just want Liverpool to fucking start winning fucking games, like, and start giving Klopp his fairy tale fucking season?
Well, I'd hope so, but realistically, after the Spurs game, Klopp's pretty much had everything go his way. It's been a very
all fixed. It's fixed
from the media. So to see them not get it is, even if it wasn't a penalty, to see them not give it is good, because in fairness, I think Liverpool should have won that game. I think if Luis Diaz on his day finishes one of those chances, I'm surprised he didn't. But yeah, I don't know about what conspiracy theory it could be, but to be honest, there's all this romanticizing of this Klopp fairy tale, and I think if they'd got the penalty, it would just fueled it even more, and it would have been unbearable. And I just can't be asked with it, to be honest.
Yeah, as far as conspiracy theories go, I think it was more surprising that it wasn't given rather than actually given, and the whole Klopp fairy tale thing. Adam, in your most neutral opinion and your Man United hat off, what did you make of that penalty decision on Sunday? Do you reckon it should have been a pen? It shouldn't have been a pen? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Adam, I'm holding out for you. I'm holding out for you.
It was a penalty. The only reason it wasn't a penalty was because of what Pep Guardiola said the week building up to it. He played on the controversy of VAR. He played on the pressure that was on the PGMOL. He called it out. Oliver buckled, the VAR crew buckled at Stockley Park. It's a foul anywhere else on the pitch. For me, that's a fair tackle in my game of football, but I know what I'm watching these days. It's a completely different game of football, and it would have been given a foul on the pitch anywhere else. It is a penalty in Monday football, but Pep Guardiola finally figured out how to get past certain games at Anfield by doing a Fergie. As simple as that. Play on the mind games before the game, put on the pressure that is Liverpool. He played all over the Klopp card, which was this fairy tale. Liverpool are going to get everything at Anfield. Guardiola walked away from that thinking he's won the league, because that's the game Liverpool needed to win to get that title for me. They needed to beat City there. City have got through the hardest one. Yeah, Arsenal will be tough, but I think they will just beat them at the Etihad, and that will be it then. I feel that had to happen for Liverpool. Pep was by hook or by crook get out of there without getting beaten. That's what that was. He knows what it's like there. He's won one game there, and that was behind closed doors with no fans in the stadium. He just needed to get out without getting beaten, and he managed it. And he's used he played every card he had to try and get through that game. He even bought De Bruyne off for Kovacic to try and show things up. So, yeah, that's where I feel that game was. I still feel one for Manchester City because, like Julio said, then Liverpool were by far the better team in that game. They should have took City out, but yeah, it's going to be one of them. They'd rather not talk about it on that stupid program that they do with Michael Owen and what is it? Howard Webb. What was it? It's the most pointless program ever, and it's just another conversation that people don't want to have about VAR. They've changed things subtly as well. I don't know if you guys noticed the offside with putting the flags up over the weekend as well. The linesmen are putting the flags up instantly now, all of a sudden, instead of letting the play out. It started to happen in a few games. It's just so you can take away the controversy of VAR because there's too much heat on it. And I just feel like they played up to that then at weekend. Big name referee in Oliver. He's not buckled under the so-called Anfield pressure. It's less controversial if he doesn't give it than if he gives it. And that's why that happened, I feel.
Yeah, you mentioned it there. It was something that was on the points I was thinking of earlier on, looking ahead to the show, and it was that I had never seen Man City playing that negatively away from home, particularly at Anfield, because we'll get onto this a bit further later on, but when Guardiola and Klopp tend to go head-to-head, they tend to be very honest. Neither of them are negative. They go all out. They play open football. And more often than not, like you said there, it has really suited Liverpool down to the ground. Sunday was the first time I really saw Man City playing negatively in a big game away from home under Guardiola. It was actually a little bit like watching Manchester United in the second half in that game back in December when they held out for that 0-0 draw. It was very un-Guardiola-like. But like you said, it was a 1-1 victory for Man City in the end. It really was. I agree with you, Adam. I really think the impetus was on Liverpool. They had to win that game, both psychologically and for the table. You know, you saw what a difference it made. Arsenal, even though it's only goal difference, finished the weekend on top. And with the games that have to come, it's a huge psychological advantage to have. Julio, what did you make overall of that Man City performance on Sunday? Like, were you surprised the way Guardiola lined up, or did you see it coming? Has he copped on, like Adam said?
I think, Guardiola's been around for years. He's 8 years now in the Premier League coming up to, and, many times he's had problems away at Anfield. And the one thing it was surprised me a little bit how negative they were, but seeing the way that they tried to shore themselves up wasn't surprising. Like one of Luis Diaz's chances, for example, was, I think it was some kind of, they retained the ball, got up to Salah around the halfway line, and he played a really good ball through to Luis Diaz, who should have put his chance away. And stuff like that shows how good Liverpool are in transition, no matter who's playing in that front three. And I just think that Guardiola has said before how scared he's been of Liverpool sides of the past. I think we've all seen that all or nothing clip where he says Mane, Salah, Firmino scare me, and they have caused many problems to him, like in the Champions League, for example, a few years back. So I just think that it surprises me how negative it was, but when you look at the context of what it's been like for him going to Anfield and the way this Liverpool team are, especially now with the Klopp factor added into the fact that Klopp was already a key component for that team anyway, with that team almost resembles him with the rock and roll football. So I just think that it was a good decision in the long run for him to do that. You know, if City come to the end of the season, they win the title by a point, Guardiola will look back at this game and go, that's the point that got us the league. Because Anfield has been a very, like, even when Liverpool weren't their best team, when they signed, Van Dijk didn't play in that 4-3 win a few years back. They just signed him, but he didn't play. So without the likes of Van Dijk, Alisson and Fabinho, key components of their spine for years, Liverpool still caused them problems with that front three. So I think ever since then, Guardiola's he knows the effect what Anfield has, you know, against Manchester City. So I think that in the long run, he will feel that he did the right thing with the way he set up, with the changes he made, and how everything just came about.
Evan, when you look at how close the title runnings have been between these two teams traditionally over the last 5-6 seasons or so, there's been like single points in it. They've pushed you to the right to the very limit. Julio touched on it there. How big could that point prove to be for Man City come the final day of the season, do you think? You're on mute.
Really, between Liverpool and City, right, and the whole Klopp and Pep, it's more of a psychological kind of a battle between them. And I don't understand what it is with Liverpool. It's on paper, City are the dominant team, not just between Liverpool and City, but throughout all the teams in the Premier League. And for it to come down to single point is so baffling year in, year out, that City can just somehow scrape the league this year with the team they have is just madness. And in comparison to, I'm not discrediting Liverpool's team, all right, it is tasty. They have won tasty games. Like, in fairness, they're playing well together. They're on the ball. They have the fire in them, and they have the drive that being Klopp's last season. Let's give it everything for him. Like, that being said, City's team is just so fucking good, and it's crucial with every point now coming into, as we were saying, the business end of the season, that every game counts now, and every point needed. And like Adam and Julio said there as well, it's looking back on this game and realizing that's going to be the point to win us. But like, I just can't understand how it's coming down to these close calls and these draws, and that win here and that loss there is crucial. Whereas, like, you think City be just running away with it at this stage, like. But it is, it's madness to think, right, that with the team City have, that they're not just fucking absolutely blasting through this whole league. And for me, like I just said, it comes down to a psychological fucking warfare. So it does. That Pep is getting into his head that this is going to be the one that wins it. Like, it's fucking, I don't know. I'm just pissed off with it, like, because you see these world class players, like, and it's just, I don't know. It's just it just drives me insane to think that it's come down to with a team like City, it's just come down to fucking single points, and it's just crazy. Like, just be blasted out of the whole fucking league.
It does help that you're playing against 10 men when you're playing against Haaland as well. It's a simple tactic that Klopp deployed. He said, we'll just close these down and stop that ball going to him, because he isn't going to do anything else but put the ball in the back of the net. So in the way that the game's played and the energy levels put in by both sides, it is 10 against 11. And that's the risk that you take by playing Haaland, because taking De Bruyne off pretty much nullified any threat of Haaland. He sacrificed 2 players effectively, and that's why we're all saying they've gone defensive, because De Bruyne works well with Haaland. Haaland only works to his best when De Bruyne is playing, and he doesn't offer what Nunes, what Diaz, what Harvey Elliott and their work rate offered Liverpool. He just doesn't put that same drive in up front. So it is a risk what Pep is doing. He cannot play without Haaland, obviously, because of his goal output, but you are effectively in a game like that relying on him taking one chance off, feeding off scraps, because there was nothing. Van Dijk played him. He had the one chance in the first half where he forced him out wide. He got a shot away, but it was a tame one. And that was it for Haaland. He has to put that away to be effective. If he doesn't, then it's Liverpool's game to try and win, because he isn't going to give you as much as what Diaz, Nunes and Elliott, even Salah, when he's playing, he works harder. Even being the older player, they just work harder as a front three than what City's front line works. Haaland's just that. He's that freak of nature, but only when it comes to scoring goals. He just doesn't give you that same work rate. And in a game like that, with the fine margins it was, I thought that played a key role in it. And why I think Pep's, again, walking away from Anfield thinking he's got away with one.
Yeah, 100% agree, Adam. And it was one of the things I wondered last summer, 12 months, when City got Haaland and everyone was sitting up looking at how they'd signed the greatest striker in the world. And I was sitting back thinking, I don't really see how he fits into their system, because Pep had relied so heavily on that false 9 for so long. He'd taken gambles in the Champions League final against Chelsea a few seasons prior. He didn't. You would argue that even Aguero didn't 100% fit into his system, as good a striker as he was, and he had a role. He still didn't. He didn't feel like he got into the best Pep Guardiola 11. And that's why when I saw Haaland sign, I said, this guy, there's no doubt he's a world-class player with world-class potential. But I was thinking, is he going to the right team? Now, look, he proved he was in the right team. They won the treble. They did what they did. But I do 100% see your point that I think teams have figured them out a little bit this season. And like you said, you cut out that De Bruyne ball, and Haaland is starved of any sort of meaningful chances. And it does beg the question going forward.
Sorry now, Jonathan, but just touching on that, like you're saying, Kyle, how long has De Bruyne been injured for this season?
What was he out for a few months anyway?
And City still held their own, in fairness, like.
Yeah, see, they find a way of winning. We saw it at Man United for years under Fergie. When you've got managers,
you ask any City fan who their player of the season is, it's Phil Foden. He's pretty much on the same goal output as what Haaland is this season. So they've had to find another way. They've effectively had to go back to the Barcelona Pep. They've had to play that ball around, possession football, and dig out a different way. You ain't going to get that worldy pass from De Bruyne to Haaland. And Haaland's goals have still been there. He's still up there, but he's nowhere near the same as what he was last season with a fully fit De Bruyne. He takes them to that next level, I think, De Bruyne. He is just the best player in the league for me by a country mile. And it just showed you, again, taking him off at weekend was Pep holding his hands up and saying, we're beaten. We need to hold on to what we've got. It was as simple as that. That was the biggest tell. And he'll go away saying, I just pulled a masterstroke here. Because if Doku's shot goes in off the post, it's a different game. And Pep looks like the best manager on the planet again. But fine margins. Liverpool needed to take the chances. They didn't. And they'll come out with that really disappointed, I feel.
Yeah, like that we saw for years under Ferguson, those away trips to Anfield, and in the year John O'Shea hitting the top of the net, and like in the dying minutes, it was a crucial goal in the title run in, and Carlos Tevez similar.
Good, were they?
No, they were absolutely they were septic, they were putrid at times when they went to Anfield. I don't remember United ever really going to Anfield and playing better than Liverpool, apart from the 14-15 season under Louis van Gaal, when we won 2-1, Mata scored the 2 goals. That's the only time I can really remember in the last 20 years or so that we've gone to Anfield and outplayed Liverpool. It just doesn't happen. And you think of the teams that United have had in that period, and how bad Liverpool were. It just goes to show how tough a place it is to go. But
do you know why that is though? No matter
Go
what
ahead.
happened, no matter what happened in Liverpool's season, no matter where they were, what form they were in, Liverpool always turned up for the games with United. What
True.
we've lost at United is when it comes to a derby, it always comes in either moments of terrible form or good form. And our feelings going into derbies vary depending on the form. It's not, and it doesn't feel like anymore that we're not, no matter what our form is, we go into a derby thinking that's it, we're going to win. Like Arsenal and Spurs, no matter what form the teams are in, both teams think we're going to win this because it always treated like a one-off game. It doesn't feel like that for United. If we get City when we're in a good run of form, it's like we might be able to win here. We might get something. We can win. Whereas when we went away to Anfield earlier in the season, I don't think we were in the greatest of form. We weren't playing well, nor have we pretty much all season. And we were thinking, oh my God, is this going to be another beatdown? Is this going to be another big scoreline? You had fans on social media claim, I'd take a 3-0 defeat, which sounds ridiculous, but they're saying it off the basis of we're in terrible form, we're going to Anfield, Liverpool always turn up. And we got a goalless draw and everyone was happy.
That's the thing, like, it touched on, it's a psychological tactic warfare that people already have it in their heads that go into matches like, we're going to get a beating here, like, and sometimes it shouldn't be the case. Like I said, that Liverpool on paper are not fucking. Just take City for example, are not in comparison to City. That's just my opinion. For me, I just feel like on paper, Liverpool are just not at City's level. But yes, Pep already has it in his head, and like you said, Julio, there, when anyone travels to Anfield, they already have it in their head that, oh, we're going to get toast in here, we're going to get a batter in here. Like I don't understand it. What is it about Liverpool that people have it in their heads that like going?
It's the big game itself. Liverpool turn up when United's come to town. Liverpool had nothing to play for last season and they beat us 7-0. Whether you see that as a freak result or not. I remember Liverpool's banter era in the early 2010s. They finished 7th or 6th or 8th, wherever. United still couldn't win at Anfield. They lost 2-0, they lost 3-1, or they drew 1-1, or lost 2-1 in the FA Cup. Because no matter how bad Liverpool's team were, they always turned up against United. We know what it means, that the big games. They don't seem to get treated like one-off games for United players anymore. It doesn't feel like we're going into a derby as a one-off game. We're hoping we're on a good run of form building up. We don't see that anymore. And I think regardless of City or Liverpool, regardless of who's in good form, bad form, both teams go into that knowing full well what the occasion is, how important it is, and what they need to do to win.
Yeah, probably brings us nicely on to our next point, that Liverpool factor, maybe the whole Anfield factor and the impact of what that stadium means to them and how much it helps them in the big games. Because we have a comment here from Keane and it relates to the whole Old Trafford conversation at the minute, the Jim Radcliffe idea of, do we knock it down and start again? Do we revamp it? Adam, you're quite a regular visitor to Old Trafford. You go to a lot of games. You're thereabouts. You're soaking in the atmosphere more than we are. What are your thoughts on this? Like, we can see the advantages, of course, of knocking down Old Trafford and rebuilding a new state-of-the-art 90,000 seater. Of course, there's a lot of advantages there. But will we ever see the like of what Old Trafford means to fans again if we go down that road, do you think?
We won't see what Old Trafford means to fans because it will be gone. So the answer to that is it's how you want to look at it. Do you need to see Old Trafford to have your memories, or are you just going to keep your memories, forget about Nostalgia Road and just get back in the 21st century and realise that to move forward in football and compete again, you need to have the best facilities that there is. Old Trafford it's not falling down, but it's old school. It is. I can tell you that from personal experience. My knees have been in the back of the head of the person sat in front of me for years now. There's no room. The seats are tight together. You're scared of falling over when you jump up and celebrate in the higher tiers. Yeah, they've made improvements here and there, but at the end of the day, Manchester United need to move forward, and the only way this is going to happen is if we move into a new stadium. It has to happen because we can't afford to lose revenues from a ground that's being redeveloped year after year after year. It's going to take a decade to redo Old Trafford, and you'll be without parts of the stand and everything at different stages of different seasons. The complications of doing it are there for everybody to see, and you've got this massive amount of space. Now, Old Trafford doesn't need to go. It can just be redeveloped into an under-21s and a women's stadium. It just needs to downsize, and then the roots of the stadium are still there for everyone to see, and you're seeing Manchester United teams play there still. The problem you've got is it's like the fans that say this is a good stadium, it's an old-school stadium, you can't get rid of Old Trafford. Yeah, that is all good and well in saying that, but as soon as they step foot in a new stadium, they're going to forget about Old Trafford. They're still going to go. They're still going to sit down in the new stadium. You have to move forward. I've got plenty of memories there. I've been there since it was 44,000. I've seen each stand being built and the capacity grow and grow and grow. We've had season tickets through all of the years. I remember going there and I was stood up with no seats around me. That's how long ago it was for me. When I went to my first game, it was against QPR in the I think it was Division 1. I'm pretty certain it was Division 1. I can't even remember now if it was Division 1 or the Premier League. I think it was the old Division 1. And yeah, I'll have them memories forever. But you have to move forward. You do have to move forward. And the revenues that we could bring off a new stadium, it's annoying because fans are struggling to detach themselves away from the club moving forward and the Glazers pocketing all the money. We're in a tricky situation right now where you forget about what's gone on and move forward, or you'll forever be in this black hole of hating the Glazers and worrying about what they're taking out the football club. At the end of the day, no one will be moaning if the football on the pitch was good. If United was successful, no one will be kicking off. The stadium has to happen for me. It does, because there's so much more we can make from it. And if we want to be back at the top table again, we need to compete and be up there with the likes of Barcelona, Real Madrid. The stadium needs to be bigger than Wembley. It needs to be a massive statement. And I think we can do that. And the noises that I'm hearing from everything from up this end is it will be a new stadium. There's no sort of thinking of redeveloping Old Trafford. It has been looked at, but the simplest and quickest, and you know what Sir Jim said in his interview, the 3-year plan that counts for team and stadium. They've moved everyone into place now. Gary Neville's bigging up the new stadium. Obviously, it's going to benefit the surrounding areas as well with a new stadium. It's going to bring in more revenues, concerts, NFL, everything like that. What Old Trafford can't do, the new stadium will do. And I think it will be more beneficial to the club as a whole. And like I said, money talks, guys, at the end of the day. And this new stadium will rake in a lot more money than what Old Trafford will. So, yeah, it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. As long as Old Trafford doesn't get totally torn down, I think most fans will be okay with it.
Yeah, you make a lot of good points there, and you touched on the Gary Neville factor. I think it was him that made the point on television. He said you can revamp Old Trafford as many times as you want, but the day is going to come eventually where you are ultimately going to have to knock it down and start over, because every stadium has its limits. It's an old stadium. It's over 114 years old at this point now. It's an old stadium. And look, it's an iconic stadium. We all know that. Even I'm sure Evan will appreciate that as a staunch Chelsea fan. That it's a unique stadium in English football. But you do get to a point, and I do agree with Adam. I think Radcliffe came in and he was very adamant. I think one of the first things he said was about building the Wembley of the North, and he's not going to put his arm out there to be slapped. I think he's made a statement. He's got his panel together now, and I think it'll be full steam ahead, and he'll find a will or way to get that stadium built. And I agree with you. I think we do need it ultimately. We'll always have our memories, but I do think you need to move with the times eventually. Julio, what are your thoughts on the redevelopment versus the demolition of Old Trafford? Do you agree with Adam, or what were you thinking on that one?
It's a sad conversation to be having. I don't like talking about this subject because it's the idea of what could possibly happen to Old Trafford, obviously with a new stadium pending. I agree with Adam with all the points he makes, from sentimentality to even the talking points about money. At the end of the day, we've seen what Spurs' stadium has generated for Spurs. Now, imagine what that could generate for a club like United, and what Real Madrid have done, and what Barcelona look to be doing if they can eventually do it. Depends. We know what Barca's finances are looking like, but a lot of United fans will disagree with a new stadium, but it doesn't come from a place of no new stadium. It more comes from the demolition of Old Trafford. Now, I'd love to see a scenario where we get a scenario of like Old Trafford is kept like a monument. Like, do you remember the original plans for San Siro? And that was going to get knocked down, and then that was decided last year. I think, no, that's not going to happen. It's a monument. Old Trafford is a very big sporting monument. Let's have it right. For a lot of footballing reasons, for all sorts of different things. And I love Old Trafford. Every time I'm there, goosebumps. But the fact of the matter is, moving forward, I think it's gone too long without being touched or sorted or whatever to stand any more chance, really. I think I've always liked the idea of a redevelopment, but I just think that it's like when you get a car and you get in an accident. And I think long run, writing it off, getting the money for it, and getting a nice new car, no matter how much you love the old car, everyone will say to you the same thing. Like, write off the car, take the money, and get the new one. Now, I'm not comparing Old Trafford to a car. It's a sentimental car. It's a little bit different, obviously, but you see
the gas on Julio. I was going to take a step further than a car, so I was. But go on, I'll leave you finish, and I'll
but you see my point.
Piece.
See my point. Sean makes a good point in the comments. I'll give it to Sean with that one, where he says sentiment says keep it, logic says rebuild. You can put an extension on the caravan and it'll be a bigger caravan. Regarding the Wembley of the North, my only worries with building a new stadium are, firstly, can we make sure it doesn't become a soulless bowl? Because you always run that risk, and I feel like it would be a disaster if United fans are in a new stadium and it's just a soulless bowl. The atmosphere is nowhere near what it can be with United fans.
Like, that's what happened with the Olympic Stadium. If you remember, West Ham went from the Boleyn Ground, which was a fierce atmosphere, and now look where they are now. They still haven't found their feet.
Big European nights at Old Trafford, when you go back and watch them on the telly, or even if you're there, one big thing you notice is the atmosphere and the noise. And if you end up moving into a soulless bowl, it's going to be terrible, and fans are going to hate it. That the atmosphere is, and the players aren't going to, because atmosphere plays a big difference on players, for them and against them, depending on if you're home or away, etc. We see that with Anfield. We need that at Old Trafford. And the other worry is, it took Spurs they started building it while still playing at White Hart Lane, and then they were played at Wembley they were only meant to play at Wembley for a year. They ended up playing there until March the season after. So pretty much almost 2 full seasons they were playing at Wembley. My one worry obviously is, where are we going to play for a year, maybe 2 years, if we're building a new stadium, and if it's going to be on the same spot. Like, the comments just come in about the atmosphere at Old Trafford being poor. Obviously, as you can imagine, that's because of the circumstances on the pitch. But Barcelona at home last season, the atmosphere was incredible.
It was electric, yeah.
And we were in a very good run of form at the time. Now, if you imagine United are winning things again, right, in 2-3 years down the line, and there's a new stadium, imagine what the atmosphere will be like maybe in the new stadium. Spurs have got it kind of sorted a little bit with the architecture of the place and how it affects sound. But United's atmosphere, I think, is better than Spurs normally. So can you imagine if you had full United in that? I think at the end of the day, a new stadium is probably the right way forward. I just don't like talking about it because of admitting that Old Trafford is not finished, but it's time to move on from Old Trafford, and it's not an easy thing for fans to admit, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, 100%. Evan, do you want to hop in there? The point you were going to make a few minutes
Yeah,
ago?
no, just like Julio said, like from an outsider's opinion, right? I am a very sentimental man, right? I get attached to stuff easily, and I'm sure I'm not the only person. I'm sure a lot of United fans are like that as well. And God forbid if the stadium got knocked down, there would be a lot of hatred throughout the whole fan base. A lot of hatred. The way I would have put it is, it's like breaking up with a long-term girlfriend. It's going to hurt like a bitch. So it is. It's going to hurt. But over time, when the realization sits in and a new stadium is there, it's going to carry on a legacy. Like when Old Trafford finished, whichever you want to say, it's the end of an era. Because the first thing when I don't care, any soccer fan, who they support, the first thing you think about of when someone says Manchester United, Old Trafford, Sir Alex Ferguson, then the players come next, Glazers, whatever, controversy on the pitch. Remember this year we won this. Remember that year they won that. Whatever, like, but it's going to be tough. And honest God, it's going to hurt and it's going to sting. But if United want to move forward, they need to upgrade. And adding plasters and bandages onto a wound, onto a broken stadium, is a temporary fix. If you want that long-term action, you're going to need to upgrade. But it's going to sting. The process going from the old to new, it's going to take a while. It's going to be hard, and it's going to be a long, tough road for United and our fans. But it needs to be done. It's going to be an end of an era, like, and it is a sad fact of life. And it is, like Julie said, it's tough to talk about, even from an outsider's opinion, because not only for United fans, it's other fans that also have memories going to Stamford Bridge and having their team play at Stamford Bridge, winning, losing, whichever it is. They're still memories. Like I said, I'm a sentimental man, and for me, it'd be a shame to see Old Trafford go. It would. And all joking aside, joking about United and all that, it would be a shame to see Old Trafford be not in use. It's tough, a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, I think that's something Radcliffe is going to have to get right, is that balance, because it looks like a new stadium is definitely the way he's going. But I think the biggest question he's going to have to answer for fans is what's going to happen with Old Trafford. I think Adam touched on it there before he had to leave us. It's important that he finds a way of maybe incorporating the women's team or the academy or under 21s, just so that there's some connection still there with Old Trafford. Because no matter what, it's an iconic building. Never mind stadium, it's an iconic building in the UK. It's synonymous. It's a very unique looking stadium as well because of the way it was built up over the years. It's not like your typical football stadium. It's a very unique design to it. So it's important, I think, that it is looked after.
Do you think it could be declared a landmark or anything like that? I guarantee there's surely petitions out there, or going to be petitions out there for fans to sign to try hold on to it. And it could be a case of, if Radcliffe really loves the club, right, it could cost him his job, but in the future it will see United absolutely flourish again in, we'll say, the glory days of the Sir Alex era.
I think when you look at Radcliffe and he's kind of liaising with government officials, because obviously they're going to need government aid with this one. There's no way the club are going to be able to afford this one themselves. The new stadium is going to cost that between 1.5 and 2 billion, especially with what Radcliffe has planned. So that meeting with government and government officials and important people, it could result in.
Sorry for cutting you off. Just curiosity, what did Tottenham pay for their stadium?
I think it was over
$1
billion.
They financed theirs though, didn't they? They financed themselves, didn't they?
Yeah, they were able to finance it themselves. There's absolutely no way with the debt United have.
But just curiosity, roughly over $1 billion, you're saying?
I think it was over $1 billion. I'm not sure, 99% sure. I haven't got the exact figure, but it was definitely, I think, over $1 billion.
I don't know if he looked into it, but did you ever see the documentary on how the stadium was built?
No, I didn't actually.
All the ins and outs of it, and through the field, and all the technology that's in it. It's absolutely brilliant. I don't know. where you get your hands on now. It could be on YouTube.
I think was that the one that was Richard Hammond in that?
Could have been actually. It could have been.
I think I might have seen something about that. Yeah, with the pitch underneath the stadium that rolls out the American NFL pitch. I think I did see a clip of that.
If you want to just say if you want to get to that standard, I know being in the construction industry, I understand that inflation, cost of materials and pricing, it all changes throughout the years. And since Tottenham built theirs, it's completely changed now. But like, to get it to the same standard and spec, surely 1.5 billion would source it. To go up to 2 billion, you're talking National Children's Hospital spec, like, and that's after taking some turn. You know,
that's a separate podcast, Evan. That's a completely separate. That's something we look at near the end of the season. That's something we look at over the summer.
What we're talking about.
Yeah, the National Children's Hospital in Dublin. Where did the money go, huh?
I'm convinced it's made out of gold bricks. It has to be the price of it.
I hope so. Jesus Christ. Look, we'll swing back around slightly to the City and Liverpool game on Sunday, because it brings us on to our next point. And one thing that really pisses me off at the end of every City and Liverpool game is this love fest that happens on the touchline between Guardiola and Klopp. And I remember back in the heyday of Ferguson and Wenger, and if you got a handshake at the best of times, you were doing well. I mean, these guys, they respected each other. There's absolutely no doubt about that, but there was genuine hate there. Really was hate between the players, the managers, the club. Julio, I'll go to you first on this one. In an unbiased view, I know you've had your opinions in WhatsApp groups, and I've seen them, and you've got some lovely terms for that relationship between Klopp and Guardiola. But Ferguson versus Wenger, or Klopp versus Guardiola, which do you think is the most iconic Premier League rivalry?
Literally, just name drop Wenger's name or name drop Fergie's name. They had so many other rivalries that are better than whatever this Pep Klopp. It's not the Pep Klopp era. It's just the Pep era. You know, City had a hiccup, as did every other team that same year, and Klopp won it. Klopp won the league in the year that City fell off, and then so did everyone else. Spurs, Arsenal, Chelsea, and United all had new managers during that season, 3 of which started, right? And Sir Alex had bigger rivalries with Pep. Not Pep, sorry. No, sadly it went around the same time. Wenger, Jose, Benitez, Mancini. Wenger had bigger rivalries with Pulis and Pardew, than whatever this is. So I think that just speaks for itself.
Be honest, it amazes me how people think this is a question. Like, it's clear, evidently, more entertaining when the two managers just go at each other's throat.
It's clear that whatever the rivalry is, it's not them.
Exactly, it's boring.
Whatever this era is, it's not them.
It's like, oh, thanks for a good game. Oh yeah, you too, and then they just walk off. But when lads are fucking arguing on the line, fucking bottles at each other, and do you know what I mean, down the tunnel, and that's what you want. Is the fire and the excitement and the entertainmentship of it. It makes for better football, 100%.
But funnily, Ian Wright, did you see Ian Wright on Monday Night Football? He said he was agreeing with Jamie Carragher, and he said that he thought the Guardiola versus Klopp period produced a higher quality of football, and it was just more synonymous with the Premier League. And he would have. Yeah, I completely disagree as well.
Late 2000s, the late 2000s was way more competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Sir Alex won 3 in a row. Sir Alex won 3 in a row in a very much more competitive league.
I just wanted to jump on for this topic because it's been wrecking my head the last 3 or 4 days about this fucking absolute disgrace of a topic to the media and the propaganda that's been spread by Sky Sports. First of all, you want to talk about competitive leagues and Prime Barclays Premier League. First of all, in the time of Manchester United and Arsenal, we're having a rivalry between Arsene Wenger and Sir Alex Ferguson. Manchester United won a treble. Arsenal won a double. Arsenal went unbeaten also in that time. and them two teams
drew too many times.
Yeah, well, they drew too many times, yes. But if you look at that time period, United won 4 titles, Arsenal won 3 titles. So they're fighting each other each year to nail to win the league. And there's little margins for error in that time. You look at Manchester City and Liverpool, it's been utter domination. City been riding them for the last 10 years. What's it been? It's been like 5 leagues to 1 or something between Klopp and Guardiola. And also in that, though in them 6 seasons, Liverpool have finished below the worst Manchester United team 3 times in that time as well. So, like, if you really want to deep it, it's a non-existent rivalry. I'll go as far as to say Mourinho versus Wenger was a bigger rivalry than
Klopp 100%.
Do you know what I mean? That was a bigger rivalry.
The way Mourinho walked in and just won 2 leagues on the bounce in a very competitive league, he set the standard. Just this Pep era rather. When Liverpool won the league, I already said, everyone else was nowhere near that good. The other teams have messed up and changed managers in the time they've been in the Premier League. We've had Jose, we've had Oli, we've had Ranić, we've had Carrick for a couple of games, and now we're on Ten Hag in this Pep Klopp era. 5 managers.
And not only that as well, Julio. The season Liverpool won the league, every single team in that league was going through a rebuild that season. Chelsea had the transfer ban. Yeah. Chelsea had the transfer ban.
Yeah, exactly.
Arsenal sacked Emery. United had Oli, and we were rebuilding with a young team. And City had no centre halves that season. And there was a lockdown.
Half of that Oli season, we were relying on Andreas Pereira and Jesse Lingard. A severely out of form Jesse Lingard in the 10 before Bruno Fernandes.
We can nearly agree it's a false. It was a false league, we'll say, a false win.
Liverpool, the only team that turned up that year.
Yeah, so Liverpool, the only team that turned up that year, but also as well, you have to counter in. Like, to be fair, the league was won by March or thereabouts, weren't it? Before the lockdown happened. February, yeah. Don't by Christmas, realistically.
Not even. Yeah, I was going to say. No, I think November was the Anfield clash. Liverpool won 3-1 against City, and everyone that's the league done.
They got all the decisions that game, yeah. But this is what I wanted. What the big point I want to make before I dip anyway is when you look at rivalries in the Premier League and you look at competitiveness in the Premier League, Mourinho, Wenger, Sir Alex Ferguson, they are the OGs in the Premier League. They are the managers who fought tooth and nail back to back. Like, I even include Mourinho in the year United and Chelsea played in the Champions League final, because Mourinho laid the foundations for that Chelsea team in a way to get to that final. So, and that's when there was, the top 4 in the Premier League were getting the Champions League finals, Champions League semi-finals. You don't see that now.
No.
I know City won the Champions League recently. I know Spurs and Liverpool played the worst Champions League final ever in 2019. It's just very rare now you see it. And when you look at natural competitiveness within the Premier League, I just think it's non-existent. It's nonsensical. And, Sky Sports have become a platform now where they've sacked journalists for social media influencers. And Jamie Carragher is on there and he's starting shit in other fucking platforms as well. I think just right now, the broadcaster themselves have just become the puppet for Liverpool Football Club, and
it's propaganda. It's propaganda. That's the best way to put it. It's propaganda, and it's fucking stupid, delusional fuckers that are getting brainwashed by it. Like, so it is.
Yeah.
It's that revisionism, isn't it, of modern football, that we forget what happened. Well, we don't forget, but most fans now, these social media puppets, they forget what happened 5-6 years ago. It's all this modernization of football. They forget that there was other teams in the Premier League 20 years ago. They forget it was a different league 20 years ago. It's all that kind of modernization. They can't remember what happened before COVID. Everything is the Klopp versus Guardiola era. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And this is why I always say Barclays Premier League will never be topped. So, and this is our time to call out these fucking absolute deluded fuckers as well. Like, so any fucking deluded Liverpool cunt wants to come on gladly, or come into the fucking chat, tweet us.
we've said before that Prime Barclays ended when the Barclays deal ended in 2016. What the money's done is it's given more money to the top clubs, and it's made what was great about the Premier League before was the unpredictability. You know, Wolves were bottom in 2011 with 6 games to go, and they survived that year. Granted, on goal difference, but they survived. That bottom 4 or 5 teams, there was only 2 points in it.
But that's the
We don't have that
excitement. That's the
anymore.
excitement we're lacking now. Yeah,
Exactly. We don't have that anymore because the money that's come in to the Premier League, the gap has widened. That's why teams that go down come back up instantly. You know, Ipswich were being linked with.
There's no fire in it.
Listen, Ipswich bought themselves out of League One after a few years, but they were being linked with a £600,000 move for a forward in League One when they were in second place. Leicester, who are at the top, were being linked with a £20 million move for a player from Inter, I think. If the gap is widening and it's becoming a problem.
Has money ruined it? Has money ruined the league?
Yes. I mean, granted, the first full summer we had the money, I think 5 of the top 6 bought a forward. You know, that was the summer United bought Lukaku, Chelsea bought Morata, Arsenal signed Lacazette, and then Aubameyang 6 months later. Then the Mbappe deal happened, obviously, but Arsenal, I think, bid 100 million quid for him. That was the summer where even Liverpool signed Salah that summer. But quite frankly, the money is, we don't see unpredictability anymore. Pretty much the same 3 teams that come up go back down. That's what it looks like this season. But it might be the same for a few years. The unpredictable, it's either you come up and spend loads of money and still go down, or you come up, stick to your model, and you don't have the quality anyway. So what was once great.
Bold thing to say, the lower leagues are looking more entertaining.
They are.
Even Sunday,
the Championship is more entertaining.
Sunday games are even looking more entertaining. Sunday league games are more entertaining.
Some of the best games to watch in the season in England is the last day of any EFL season or the playoffs, because stuff always goes down. This is the business end of the season. Hiccups are bound to happen. It's so exciting. You don't have that anymore. You just see City go on a 20-game unbeaten run and win the league. It's boring.
Absolutely. Well, look, speaking of unpredictability, before we finish up, we're going to look quickly ahead to the FA Cup quarterfinals this weekend. A few more straightforward than others. One of the more unpredictable ones, and one in which both teams would really eyeing an upset here to get to an FA Cup semi-final, and that's Wolves and Coventry. Wolves at home in that one. Evan, what way do you see that one finishing up?
I see an early goal by Coventry and Wolves winning 2-1.
Good show. Julio, do you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I support that.
You've been fucking shocked. You'd swear I was going to say something outrageous.
Ellis Sims will probably score for Coventry, and then Wolves turn it around.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I'd actually like to see Coventry go through in that one. City Newcastle, then that's a bit of a tasty one.
Newcastle, please forget all the problems you've got going on right now.
Imagine the scenes. Nah, that has 3-0 written all over it.
Yeah,
I think Judge Johnson's at the reason, is he? Yeah, no, look, I see 3-0 written all over that any day of the week. Keane is saying 4-0. 2 goals by Haaland, Foden finish.
Probably, yeah. I mean, earlier in the season, I think Newcastle knocked out City in the League Cup, but obviously Newcastle had a fully fit squad, which they don't have now. Mm-hmm. But it's at the Etihad, so I worry that City will just walk all over them with this.
Potentially so. I think a City win as well in that one, in fairness. Evan, your team, Chelsea, home to Leicester City. What way do you think that one will go?
That's fucking anyone's game, being honest now. That is literally anyone's game.
I reckon there'll be an upset. I reckon Chelsea win this.
Do you think? I don't know, man. It's a tough one to call. I reckon it'll be a high-scoring game. I reckon Oh, fuck it. We'll go 3-2. 3-2 Chelsea, yeah.
Oh, they
But
won't
like
make it easy.
it'll be so close, man. It'll be so close. It could be a Palmer fucking last minute goal, like 97th minute, like, do you know what I mean? Yeah, no, it'll be poor defensively, but it'll be entertaining attackingly, I reckon. It'll just all go. 3-2. Yeah, 3-2 Chelsea, yeah.
Interesting show. I can see Leicester upsetting the odds on that one. I hope so anyway.
Oh, but it could easily happen,
then
it could easily happen at this stage.
Yeah. Final one then is it's probably the biggest game of the weekend. United Liverpool on Sunday. That's I know it seems obvious on paper that Liverpool are going to overturn United, but Old Trafford, the cup. Julio, do you see an upset in this one? Do you see United beating Liverpool?
It's either there's an upset and United win, or there's an upset and I'm upset because we lost. Like, horrendously. And I can't pick between the two.
I think it comes back to my point earlier. It's psychological warfare. I think United fans and United players are all rattled.
It's like I've always said. United don't turn up for derbies like one-off games. You just hope that United are in form. Honestly, I don't know why this has been the case now. Like, Louis had them in one-off games and stuff, which was fine.
Mm-hmm.
But then ever since, it's always like we hope to come up against the team in a good run of form. And we've not been playing well all season. So it's almost every time we play a big team, it's we hope. I would love to see United ruin Klopp's chance of a farewell Mickey Mouse quadruple. But I don't know.
Look, I
couldn't tell you anything until we see the lineup.
Like, I hate the two clubs with a passion, right? I hate Liverpool more so.
Evan, what do you think?
Well, I just hate Liverpool so fucking much, and it would kill me to see United to follow through, but I'd rather United win over Liverpool, and just to fucking rub it in them Liverpool cunts' faces about this fairy tale Klopp fucking season. I hate the whole idea, and it's ruined this whole season. And I have a lot to say that can ruin this whole season for me. But this is just the cherry on the cake. This has ruined the fairy tale fucking story. Is just driving me insane. And I hope United absolutely boot them out the fucking gate. But like I said, this psychological warfare, the tactics, fans are rattled, players are rattled, and I could dare say it, manager is rattled.
Yeah, I actually can see United winning on Sunday. I don't know why. I can see it winning 2-1. I remember last year when we weren't given a chance after the 4-0 defeat to Brentford. We came up with a win. I know Sancho scored in that one, but I could see us coming up with a result on Sunday. I really, really hope we do, because as Julio said, I really want to ruin this Mickey Mouse quadruple that Klopp is slowly building. But look, we'll see. As we said, we'll see what the lineups and such look like on Sunday. But look, lads, I think we will wrap it up there for this week. Thanks everyone for getting involved in the comments, for joining us. Thanks Keane for hopping on, and as usual, thanks to Julio and thanks to Evan for hopping on. We'll be back again next Wednesday for Talk of the League. Until then, guys, we'll chat to you soon.